Welcome to Unboxing Europe, this time with Veronika. Veronika is graduated in political science. She has been one of the top candidates in Slovakia on these European elections from the Liberal Party. We do not come from the same political perspective. And she's also a member of the Renew group here in the Parliament. Veronika, thank you very much for coming to this episode of Unboxing Europe with us.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you. And we have been very active on social media. You have been very active on social media and also quite popular with young people in Slovakia and here in European Parliament. And I think it's very good, the example that you have been setting, but at the same time that we come across different political parties. You are coming from the Renew group, from the Liberals. I'm coming from the Social Democrats here in the European Parliament. But there is something that has been uniting us, but we also discuss a lot in European Parliament, that is rule of law. Tell me a bit more on what you think on the rule of law and how it's actually should be fighting, how we should be fighting it from the European Parliament perspective.
Yes, I think it all comes back to the principles of democracy and of values. And coming from a country that was part of the Soviet Union, and it was just the Soviet Union was we left the Iron Curtain in 1989 when I was born. So for me, this is an issue where I understand what it is like to live in an authoritarian regime, and I understand what are the advantages of a democratic regime where the rule of law is present. And I believe that now more than ever, it's easier to demolish the foundations of the rule of law, also because of social media.
Also because of social media.
So because of social media, we are talking after the American elections.
And how would you say that we can actually combat that? Within social media, in social media, or outside of social media?
It's very hard, but I believe it's combatable.
Okay.
But there needs to be an agreement that social media is not good or bad, it's what we make of it.
Okay.
And I believe we let it run its course without any rules, without any limitations for too long. So now we're just catching up. And that is where we're in a disadvantage.
And how do you do that? Do you think that we do that by influencing different opinions? Because, I mean, for us, Democrats, also socialists in my case, liberals in your case, but we usually tend to start from a point of perspective that everything is wrong, because we see a lot of fake news, we see a lot of disinformation, and misinformation as well. But then we have two options. It's either be on social media or being outside of social media, or actually from this side regulating social media. How do you see the role of, public authorities and public state, for example, on regulation of social media, and where can we come together?
I believe that there is a big role for the public authorities to play on social media, because just like we regulate other sectors, it's obvious we're going to regulate this one as well, which is being very big, which is being very influential. So I believe the Digital Services Act is a groundbreaking piece of legislation. And now there's these years that are coming are the years that they're going to be really important, because that's when we implement it. And that's the way how we can go forward. It's not about censorship. It's not about banning things
It's not being against freedom.
It's for freedom.
Exactly.
It's for freedom and security. And I believe these two go together, also on social media, just like we have some rules on the streets or how banks operate, how schools operate. That's how the rules should be for the social media sphere.
And how do you think that we have seen that over the past years and over the past 30 years, we have more autocracies than ever in the world. We have our own problems within the European Union, breaches on the rule of law. But we are seeing that it's more easy to get there, for autocrats. It's being easier if they have their resources to influence different people. And then it's actually the moderate people that are voting for them and the poorer that are voting for the richer. So these classes and societal diviseness of societies is becoming more real. But at the same time that we speak about strategic autonomy in the European Union, I mean, if you go on social media, it's either Chinese or American social media. What can we do here?
Well, we can come up with a European social media, but I believe that's not up to you or me. But we can create a level playing field, and we can create boundaries and rules for either Chinese companies or for American companies, for anyone who wants to operate on the European market. I believe that's fair. Mm-hmm. And I believe that's the way we're heading. And I hope that's where the next mandate, where we're both part of, is going to go. And you asked about politics and about authoritarians. It's easier for them to gain traction with social media. You know that people are on social media. They're tending to believe what they see on social media. But it also comes back to digital literacy, to actually educating people, because, my parents grew up, and I believe your parents grew up in a society where social media wasn't present.
But one thing that I find funny, if I speak to my grandparents or even my parents, and they have started to use social media some years ago, we always have this idea that older people will take too long to adapt. But then when they adapt, they actually become more addicted than young people.
But that's also something that we should talk about here on the
Addiction.
European level. Addictive designs, that is something that we're going to hopefully work on, that the Commission is going to propose in the Digital Fairness Act, where we will be addressing these things as well. And it's, if someone thinks that people happen randomly on social media, that it's all free and fair and rosy, that's not true. Algorithms do their magic. Targeted advertising does their magic.
And we know
so if we feel like, if we try to put in some boundaries, we're stopping freedom. That's not the case. We're just making it a more free space because it's a safer space.
And on a final note, and because we speak a lot on freedom, and I think it's very important to mention this, often here in the parliament or out in the streets, when we speak about having, actually a free space, but also, regulated and fair space for everyone, we are attacked by some of the far right or far left that we are attacking freedom. We come from different, political backgrounds, and we come from different political families. But AI is coming here, and it will affect not only politically society, but also economically. What should be the role of the European Union and we as young parliamentarians to be sure that the young people, this new generation, won't come with the harmful effects of AI generation, for example, video distortion, or, making me having the face of Elon Musk saying the same thing that I'm saying, or, someone from the government party saying what you're saying in Slovakia.
Well, if someone says it's censorship, I would ask if, traffic lights are limiting freedom of movement. Are they? I don't think they are. And that's what we're supposed to do in the online sphere. And I think that's the role of us here in the European Union, in the European Parliament, and maybe more even the younger politicians, since they're very well acquainted with social media. They know their bonuses, they know their minuses. So I think we should be the ones leading the discussion. And I know we need to hear different points of view. And I love that we're talking here from different groups. I believe this should be happening more often. But I believe it's us who should be sort of navigating the space, who should be setting the path on how to make it safer. Because I'm saying, I don't like when someone says that social media is bad, you have to be off of it, it'll be better. No, because there would come another way. But we have to make it a place where it's easier to be.
It's the same for politics. When young people say that parties and politics is too bad, look, it will be much worse if you are not inside.
Yes, so you either get in, and I believe that even with AI, I was the target of a deep fake before the elections back home. And, it's hard to fight it.
How did it work? Well for you, or?
Well, I was elected, so I guess it wasn't a very good deep fake. But it was there. The boss of our opposition, the biggest opposition party that I'm a member of, was also a target of such a deepfake before the national elections. So it is becoming part of the political sphere. And we can't, close our eyes and be like, oh no, it's a one-off. It's not a one-off. It's going to happen more and more often. And unless we set the rules, it's only going to get worse. And it's just the rules. It's just the leveling the playing field. It's no censorship. It's no taking away of freedom of any kind.
Veronika, thank you very much. We unboxed a bit of rule of law, and I hope to see you much more around the following.
Hopefully so. Thank you.
Ciao, ciao.